Hello everyone, and welcome to pain, affliction, agony, anguish, distress, excruciation. Yes, that is right, we're talking about Vietnam in the qualifiers again. You know, before we get into anything, I feel like my like goals have been pretty low, so 300 likes for this video. That'd be kinda cool. So just in case you didn't watch the first video, let me just go through a quick recap of the Vietnamese qualifiers so far. So first, there was Saudi Arabia. Vietnam had a dream start in the 3rd minute after Nguyen Quang Hai scored an absolute banger. Vietnam held on to the lead for a good amount of time, only for the second half to occur and VAR to completely us over. Then there was Australia, where Vietnam actually had probably the higher quality chances, despite having like 25% of the possession. VAR yet again gets another call wrong, and that same person who handballed in the box scores against Vietnam, and Vietnam loses 1-0. Then came the social credit merchants. After going 2-0 down, Vietnam rallied back in the last 15 minutes, and oh was it such a beauty to see. This would be the first time ever that Vietnam would get a result that wasn't a loss against China. That is, if we didn't concede in the dying minutes of the match to lose 3-2. Finally, Oman. This match. The Premier League could not even rival how bad, how awful the officiating was during the Vietnam-Oman match. And let's not forget when VAR had a whole jury case with the Vietnamese goal. But if you want more elaboration on the Oman match, I mean, there's an annotation above there. You can watch the video. So here Vietnam stands. 4 matches in, 4 losses, and no points. And what were the next 2 matches? Japan and Saudi Arabia.
Ain't you had enough punishment for one day?
Both of these games were at 7 a.m. in the morning for me, and I can wake up at those times, but barely. Now back in 2019, Japan defeated Vietnam in the quarterfinals of the Asian Cup. I was pretty devastated that day, but also proud because of how far we'd progressed. Now in 2021 was the chance to get some revenge against the Japanese. What also helped was Vietnam finally allowed fans back to stadiums, after really botching the vaccines. Now, Japan, on the other hand, were kind of a little bit underwhelming, but they had previously beaten Australia and were hunting for as many points as they could possibly get, as they were in a pretty dangerous position. And in the end, the forces of the Japanese were just too much for the Vietnamese. Japan were great at escaping the press and attracting players to the ball, and it created a ton of space for them. The most effective way Japan attacked, though, was through counterattacks, which is a little ironic because that was the Vietnam plan. But Japan's only goal came from Junya Ito. Actually, there should have been probably 2, but the other one was called off. Did I mention that a VAR call actually went our way? But as the final scoreline reflects, again, Vietnam weren't bad. They had some great quick passing sequences and an efficient tempo that could actually progress the ball forward pretty well. Although there's all these great things to the Vietnamese attack, there has been one thing that has stopped it dead in its tracks every single f***ing match. Vietnam cannot find the final ball to an attacker. It's just not possible. They either screw up the pass and it's intercepted, or the Japanese recover quickly, or they shoot outside the box and fail horribly. It's genuinely one of the most frustrating things to see because there's such good passing play and you're getting kind of riled up, you know? You're thinking, okay, maybe Vietnam will actually score. And then comes the final pass. Every single goddamn f***ing time. Listen, I know Vietnam are just there for like a learning experience, but it is pretty frustrating. It also doesn't really help that Nguyen Tien Linh is basically the sole striker up front. And listen, a 2v1 between him and Yoshida and Tomogotsu, it's not gonna work out that well. However, not to take away from Yoshida and Tomogotsu, they've been phenomenal. So in the end, Japan win, and Vietnam still have no points. Now, one thing you don't particularly want to see after Japan are the group leaders, Saudi Arabia. Unfortunately, that wasn't the case for Vietnam. Now, the Saudis had a little bit of trouble against Australia in their previous match. They weren't able to puncture the Australian defense, so if Vietnam could be well structured defensively, it could maybe trouble the Saudis just a little bit. Now, unlike the first match, Nguyen Quang Hai didn't score an absolute banger. So this time, the Saudis weren't right off the bat coming at us like a bunch of rabid dogs. They did come close to scoring in the 3rd minute, ironically enough. But then 30 minutes played, a Saudi attacker wins a header in the box. The ball floats towards goal, which would usually not be too hard to handle for a keeper, but Bui Tan Chong's positioning already was in a bit of a pickle. He manages to make this miraculous save Unfortunately, the ball already had crossed the line. God, I miss Dong Van Lam. Anyways, the Saudis throughout most of the match did a pretty good job at controlling, but it was also because the Vietnamese team were a little more passive than usual. And of course, when Vietnam did conjure up a decent tempo, you know the rest of the story. But what was kind of frustrating about this match was instead of even trying to find the final pass, motherfuckers were shooting from 50 light years away from the goal.
Wow. That's awesome.
The only two players I can think of that can actually pull that off are Nguyen Quang Hai, possibly, and Nguyen Tien Linh. That's it. No one else should be qualified to do that. Oh, and another VAR call went our way. It must be Christmas already. Now, unfortunately, the same couldn't happen for Van Thuan, who dived in the box. So I guess we're not going to be getting a new shirt anytime soon. But one thing that really caught my eye was the last 10 minutes of the match. Players were going full offensive. One run was being supported by multiple other runs. There's more directness to the plan, and players were pushing into the box, and this significantly overwhelmed Saudi Arabia. Had we done this so much earlier, we could have easily found an equalizer. So it just kind of makes no sense to me why all of a sudden Vietnam started to push that high up with 10 minutes remaining. Like, fellas, we have 0 points. We don't exactly have anything to lose. Just go for it. Like I said before, this is just a learning experience. No one expects Vietnam to actually qualify for the World Cup. I get that we've been unlucky. I get that we've been pushing above our weight, but we literally still have 0 points. There's no reason to not do that. I do hope to see, though, in the next matches, what I did see in those last 10 minutes. Because again, if we're gonna see that high pressure, quick passing sequences, all that kind of stuff, overwhelming the defenders in the box, that could actually have us score goals for once. Vietnam's next qualifiers will be against BCHD Land and the Citizenship Merchants. Judging from the last time Vietnam faced those two, I do have a little bit of hope. Australia, again, like I said before, we had higher quality chances. And China, we just got really unlucky. But those qualifiers aren't until January and February of 2022. What's before those qualifiers is the chance to start next year on a positive for Vietnam after so many disappointing results. Ladies and gentlemen, I give you the 2020 AFF Championship. As I've said before in my video essay, this is basically just a tournament between all the Southeast Asian countries. It goes from December 5th to New Year's, actually, this time. The one thing that worries me just a little bit is Thailand, because even in the qualifiers we couldn't manage to win against them. But if Vietnam managed to go back to back with these championships, it could add a little morale going into those next qualifiers. You never know. Massive thank you for 11k. Yes, 11k. We grew 1k in 1 week on my birthday as well, so easily the greatest birthday present I ever could have gotten. But a massive thank you to our patrons, of course: Daniel Ortiz, Victor, Lewis, Emmett Shea, Dominic Griffin, Joseph Bonfante, Cash Getty, and Tomicus. If you'd like to join the Patreon, there'll be a link down below and a link in the annotations above. Feel free to follow my Twitter if you'd like for, reasons, I guess. Follow my Instagram too. Follow my TikTok, trying to get to 3,000. And you can follow my inactive Twitch. But until then, I'll see you guys.